Epstein files. Department of Justice under fire for partial disclosure. The United States Department of Justice is now facing unprecedented bipartisan fury over its handling of the Epstein files. Lawmakers from both sides of the aisle have united against Attorney General Pam Bondi, demanding full disclosure of the documents. Meanwhile, survivors are coming forward with a disturbing accusation. The very agency that claimed to protect their identities has instead exposed them to danger. This story is far from over. In fact, it may just be reaching its most explosive chapter yet. On Monday, tensions escalated dramatically as members of Congress expressed their frustration with the slow and incomplete release of documents related to the Jeffrey Epstein case. According to the report, some legislators are now considering legal action against Attorney General Pam Bondi for failing to comply with a congressional order that demanded full disclosure of the Epstein dossier by December 19th. The deadline has passed, and yet much of the material remains hidden from public view. The disclosure was meant to fulfill a congressional mandate signed into law by President Donald Trump himself. Trump, who had previously dismissed aspects of the case as a Democratic hoax, approved legislation requiring authorities to release all Epstein-related files in their possession. However, what the public received fell far short of expectations. Much of the content that was released came heavily redacted, and a significant portion of the archive remains entirely out of reach. This partial release has ignited a firestorm that transcends traditional party lines. The controversy surrounding the Epstein case has created unusual fractures within the Republican Party itself. Supporters of the MAGA movement, who form the core of President Trump's electoral base, are now demanding complete transparency. For them, anything less than full disclosure represents a betrayal of the promises made during the campaign. The pressure is mounting from all directions. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer reportedly filed legal documents on Monday aimed at instructing Republican Majority Leader John Thune to take the necessary legal steps to guarantee congressional access to all documents covered by the legislation Trump signed into law. This initiative could move forward in the Senate when legislative work resumes on January 5th. Notably, Thune's office did not immediately respond to requests for comment on the matter, leaving questions unanswered about how the Republican leadership will navigate this politically treacherous situation. But the political maneuvering in Washington is only part of this unfolding drama. Perhaps the most troubling development came from the survivors themselves. On Monday, American journalist Scott MacFarlane shared on the social media platform X a statement from what he described as some survivors of abuse committed by Jeffrey Epstein. The document bore the signatures of 19 women, 2 of whom chose to remain anonymous. Their accusation strikes at the heart of the Department of Justice's justification for withholding information. According to these survivors, the agency released information that actually allows for the identification of victims, thereby placing them in potential danger. This is a stunning reversal of the department's stated rationale. The protection of abused women has been the primary justification offered by the Department of Justice for suppressing portions of the disclosed information. Yet the very people the agency claimed to protect are now saying they have been exposed instead. The implications of this accusation cannot be overstated. If survivors are correct in their assessment, then the Department of Justice has not only failed in its duty to protect vulnerable individuals, but may have actively compromised their safety while simultaneously shielding other information from public scrutiny. The question that naturally arises is uncomfortable but unavoidable. Who or what is actually being protected by these redactions? Former President Bill Clinton, who has been identified as one of the principal figures implicated in the latest document release, made an unexpected move on Monday. Through his spokesperson Angel Urena, Clinton called for the immediate release of any files that reference him in any way, including photographs. The statement was remarkable for its directness. According to Urena, someone or something is being protected, though it remains unclear who. What is clear, the spokesperson emphasized, is that Clinton himself does not need any form of protection. This declaration from the Clinton camp adds another layer of intrigue to an already complex situation. When a former president whose name appears in documents related to one of the most notorious sex trafficking cases in American history actively demands more disclosure rather than less, it raises profound questions about what might still be hidden in those files. Clinton's willingness to call for transparency could be interpreted in multiple ways, but it undeniably increases the pressure on the Department of Justice to provide answers. The Epstein case has haunted American public life for years. Jeffrey Epstein, the financier who cultivated relationships with some of the most powerful figures in politics, business, and entertainment, was arrested in 2019 on federal charges of sex trafficking. His death in a Manhattan jail cell, officially ruled a suicide, spawned countless theories and left many questions permanently unanswered. The women he abused, some of them minors at the time, have spent years fighting for recognition and justice. Now, with the promise of full disclosure having been made and then apparently broken, those survivors find themselves in an impossible position. They were told the documents would be released to bring transparency to a case that has long been shrouded in secrecy. Instead, according to their own testimony, they received the worst of both worlds. Their identities potentially compromised, while the identities of powerful individuals allegedly involved remain protected. The bipartisan nature of the outrage is itself significant. In an era of extreme political polarization, the fact that Democrats and Republicans have found common ground on this issue speaks to the gravity of what is at stake. This is not a matter of left versus right or conservative versus progressive. This is about whether the American justice system treats the powerful and the vulnerable by the same standards. Attorney General Pam Bondi now finds herself at the center of a political storm that shows no signs of abating. The threat of legal action for defying a congressional order is not merely rhetorical. Lawmakers appear genuinely prepared to pursue all available avenues to compel compliance. The question is whether the Department of Justice will relent before such measures become necessary, or whether this confrontation will escalate into a full-blown constitutional crisis over the separation of powers. As the nation waits for Congress to reconvene in January, the pressure will only continue to build. Survivors are demanding accountability. Lawmakers are demanding answers. Even those whose names appear in the documents are demanding transparency. And yet the Department of Justice remains silent. The files remain partially hidden, and the truth about the full extent of Jeffrey Epstein's network of abuse remains just out of reach. What happens next could determine whether justice is finally served in one of the most disturbing cases in modern American history, or whether the powerful will once again escape accountability while their victims are left to bear the consequences alone. The world is watching, and so far, what it has seen raises more questions than answers. Someone or something is being protected. The survivors know it. The lawmakers know it. Perhaps even those whose names appear in the documents know it. The only question that remains is whether the American public will ever be allowed to know it too.